What's up, Long Island? This is being done just to give you a heads up and a little bit of insight into our perspective about an issue that's going on right now in Wantagh, the I Love Pizza pizzeria. This is not a complex issue. Quite frankly, there's a lot of noise about it. We wanted to address it, offer our stance on it, and offer our thoughts going forward on it. Before we do that, the first thing I want to say, and it's just obvious, but I want to say it, is that racism, bigotry, violence, no matter the origin or the destination, is unacceptable in every form. Okay? Racism, bigotry, violence, no matter the origin, where it starts, or who it's directed at, the destination is unacceptable in every form. All right? And that's how our group has operated and will continue to operate going forward. If you don't agree with those statements, please stay home. This is not, you're not a person I want to see. Racism, bigotry, and violence is unacceptable no matter the origin or its destination. Unacceptable in every form. No ifs, ands, or buts, and we move on. Okay, now with regards to this pizzeria, all right, for those who don't know the story, there's a story on the patch, and I'm pulling it up and reading straight from it now. All right, apparently a rally is being held outside of this pizzeria to protest the alleged racist comments a pizza delivery driver was fired for over the weekend. Okay, so you have a pizzeria, you have a driver, and now the driver texted a racial slur to the customer. Unacceptable. Unacceptable. I agree. I think we all agree. You can't be texting racial slurs to customers or anybody. It's unacceptable. Okay? The employee was fired. On the spot, the employee was fired. So my question to this organization who's holding a rally outside of this pizzeria, the organization is known as Long Island Peaceful Protest and Black, White, Brown United. My question to them is, what are you protesting? What are you protesting? Do you know what you're protesting? Is this, in your eyes, indicative of what we've talked about, systemic racism? How is this systemic? If systemic racism was still alive, this employee would still have a job because it would be accepted as a cultural norm. What happened was the business owner found out about it and fired the employee. He fired the employee, he offered a refund to the customer, and he publicly apologized. So my question is, what are you protesting? Are you protesting racism in general? That's perfectly fine. This business acted in every way possible to rid themselves of this employee who demonstrated racism. They didn't come out in defense of the employee. They didn't keep the employee employed for longer than need be. The employee no longer works there. So what are you protesting is the question. Do you know? Can you answer this? You see, racism exists, but not on a systemic level. Or, as I just said, the person would still be employed. What's happening is the media and these two groups are shining light on this situation with the intention, I believe, of leaving the facts in the shadows. Here's the real story. On Saturday, March 27th, a delivery was late to its destination. There apparently wasn't a tip, and the employee texted a racial slur to the customer, which is unacceptable. Okay? The comments are, I'm not going to repeat the comments. You can look this up yourself. It's pretty disgusting. My issue here is that if you look at the flyer that's being pushed around to draw people to this rally where we don't know what they're protesting, rally against racist treatment at I Love Pizza in Wantagh. The flyer here, which I'm going to put on the screen for you. A black customer at this pizzeria received a text message from their delivery driver stating that Black Lives Matter, but yours doesn't, which is disgusting, and then used a racial slur and told this customer to get out of Wantagh. No one deserves to be treated this way. I agree. Join LIPP and BWBU, who apparently has ripped off the Batman logo, as we rally outside the pizzeria to stand by this customer, to show our support for them, and to let the pizzeria know that this behavior will not be tolerated. My question is, where on the flyer is the very important piece of information that the business itself has already made it clear that this behavior is not to be tolerated because they fired the employee? Where is that information? Why are you misleading your people? There are people looking at that flyer, not many, but there are people looking at that flyer who believe that it's quite possible that that the employee is still hired, is still working at the pizzeria. There are people who look at that flyer who don't know that the employee was fired because it makes no mention of it. But what's really alarming, and I'd like to caution this group on this, is if you look at the comments underneath that flyer, you have people asking to leave the business alone. The owner has no control over people who work there. True. The shop did the right thing. What does it say about you when you protest against the guy who did the right thing? You're not elevating the black community and achieving true equality through education with this. True elevation would come by celebrating the man who did the right thing, not trashing him. Why is there a protest against a business that clearly had zero tolerance for racism? The owner acted swiftly and clearly showed the public that this is not okay. There are 122 comments on this post. I want to say anywhere between 85 to 95% of them are asking the same questions that I'm asking. Why are you protesting? And the sad part is, I don't think they really know. You call yourselves Long Island Peaceful Protests, yet people are threatening the owner of this business who did the right thing. If the question is, well, how could you be hiring racists? There are no questions asked in a job interview, are you a racist? And if that question is asked, who do you think is going to say yes? Look at the comments under the flyer. Look at the thoughts of the actual people out there. This is pointless. There is no reason to take out any anger or energy on this business when they did exactly the right thing. They did it quickly. They apologized, and they offered to refund the customer. They made it perfectly clear that racism is not okay. You're going out there and protesting what exactly? I don't think you know. I think you need to ask yourselves that question and ask yourselves if going outside of that business is really the appropriate thing to do. Because I think you'll find out that the answer is that it's not. Be smart.